Rather than building a strategic team to beat Pokemon Emerald, what if instead I decided to beat the entire game with my favorite Pokemon? Each time you play Pokemon, you try to build the best team to pull you through all the badges and Elite Four. But what if you wanted to use your favorite Mon regardless of its stats and moves? Let's see how it is to defeat Pokemon Emerald with my favorite one. So, who's my favorite? Easy, Krabby. Ever since we saw Ash capture a Krabby as a challenge to do it without using another Pokemon, and also see it take down an Executor in the anime, where it quickly evolved into Kingler. But at its base, Krabby is a basic form Pokemon that relies heavily on its physical stats, which are attack and defense. Compared to overall Pokemon, though, Krabby ranks 69th in attack, with a base stat of 105, ranking higher than legendaries such as Kyogre, Lugia, and Giratina. But there's also a catch. With Krabby having low special stats and most water moves being considered special attacks in Emerald, our little crab can't even really use any of its water type moves. So despite being a water type, Krabby can't even properly use its own typing. So let's see how I pull this all off. Okay, using my hacker knowledge, I decided to swap Mudkip for Krabby, making the game a little more challenging. Instead of having to choose my own starter, I have it so that Trico version turns into a Sceptile, which make our rival a little stronger for us. But as you see, Krabby, we start with using that bubble to be effective against a Zigzagoon. That's really our only option right now when it comes to a move set, which we know from our intro does not really help us all that much. However, of course, we have to name Krabby the most appropriate name we can, and that's going to be Cookie. Now we go against our trainer for the first time, and like I mentioned before, that special attack is not going to really help us. You can see me just spam bubble, even going through with a potion, and I still have no chance against this Trico. It's really just making my way until it takes me out. Like that, our whiteout count is now at 1. So with that, we trained our Krabby all this time with a bunch of bubbles in order to learn our first grip move, which is going to be Vice Grip in this situation. Now, with Vice Grip, it's important for us because, again, remember, our attack is very high. And so that's really going to help and play in our favor. So we use that Vice Grip on a level 5 Trico. I understand the level difference, but trust me, that leveling will not mean a lot later in this game. So after defeating May and showing her the powers of the claw, I decided I need my first HM slave. So that's going to be Slackoth. Now, with Slackoth, it can learn, if I remember correctly, Strength, Cut, Rock Smash. It's really going to be our HM friend for a lot of this journey. So we catch our first HM slave, Slackoth. Now, after capturing Slackoth, we take on our first gym leader, Roxanne. Now, luckily for us, even though Krabby isn't the strongest with a special attack, him being a higher level and water being strong against ground and rock, this really plays in our favor so far. So we take out her first two Geodudes pretty quick, and then we come across that first Nose Pass. Now, as you can see, Nose Pass has a strong special defense, so that's why his bubbles are not working against him. And so with that, we decide to potentially switch it up. Even though our speed and everything is going down, we use that Vice Grip. Again, Nosepass it's a more defensive Pokemon, so it's a little harder for us to really make it through this first time around. So we continue using our bubble. Roxanne wants to use the potions. It's fair. We get to use items. They get to use items. It's only fair. So we keep using that bubble. Hopefully, it's using that type effectiveness in our favor. It's getting a little close here. Oh my gosh, I forget how close we were when we've just taken out this Nose Pass. Luckily, we'd have one potion left, and we use that on Cookie. We survive one more Rock Tomb and a Tackle. And now, thankfully, that Rock Tomb misses, and we're able to beat Roxanne on our very first try. After that, though, we do meet our rival once again. With that, we decide to see how it goes with our Cookie versus now her two Pokemon. Now, the Wingull really isn't much of a challenge for us, so we take it out pretty quick with the Vice Grip. And even though the Trico is now of higher level, that Vice Grip is able to put it to quick really fast. Making rival not really a challenge for us, just a little obstacle along the way. With that, however, though, we are on to our next kind of idea or where we're supposed to go next, and that's for us to learn Flash. Now, I included this in here as well because with Flash, Slackoth can't learn Flash. That means we need to find our next HM slave. So luckily that is Lotad. Now Lotad is going to be another awesome Pokemon for us to have on our team because he can learn more than just Flash. With this, we can learn Dive and Surf at the same time. So Lotad is going to be a very permanent member to our team once we capture it. Again, trying to stall it out as long as possible until we get it, and we're able to succeed with one quick Pokeball toss. And the Lotad is now joining our team as HM Slave 2. After that, though, we go and decide to take on Brawly. Now, with Brawly, I felt we have a pretty good chance with this one. Brawly's Pokemon, primarily with them being fighting, are more on the physical stats. So, being high in attack and defense, special attack, special defense, depending on which Pokemon, isn't really the two highest. So, with Metadite, we're able to get out pretty quick before it gets a lot of its strength and pull together. Now, this is where our journey takes its first hurt. And that's with Makuhita. Makuhita becomes a really big problem for us very fast. As you can see, its strength is taking us out pretty fast. Its level is pretty close, making our whiteout count number 2. Now, with that, we go back again. We get past everyone. We're fighting Makita again. And with that, we're still trying to put it through, making that our next whiteout. Now, I wanted to include this one as well because on our way, we're thinking, oh, Machop and Metadite, they're not really much of a challenge. We can easily slip through them. However, when we're fighting this first time with this Machop, we also white out once again. So going back to Makahita, I may be saying that very wrong. We're learning though. We're only focused on Cookie and Krabby. But as you see again, we were able to finally beat it. We defeated leader Brawly, and we succeeded in capturing our second badge. We meet Steven really quick just to say hi, how's it going? And just to show that we are learning our next move, Mud Shot. Now, with Mud Shot, it is a special attack. However, it's going to be very critical for us on our next gym leader and for taking out folks that may have a strong attack or strong weakness or typing against us. Along the way, though, we meet Team Aqua for the very first time, just to show you that they're really no challenge for Cookie and I, as we defeat them pretty fast. However, of course, our rival wants to say hi to us once again, just to check on how we're doing and see how the Crab and I are progressing. Now, Wingull, again, doesn't survive our Vice Grip at all. Remember, our attack is getting higher and higher with our leveling up. Now, Graval does make me nervous because of that Absorb, and it's getting stronger with its special attack. As you can see, we flew right down to a 7, which is terrifying because I did not think we were going to go down that fast. However, we use that Mud Shot, an example like I just mentioned, which is going to be great for us to use on Pokemon that we have a type of effective against as well. So I also wanted to show this at the same time. With double battles, this is something that was required to happen a lot when it's in the game, and I want to show it as well because in this moment is where we learn Stomp, which is even a stronger physical attack move for us and for Cookie to use moving forward. So with Stomp, we're going to replace Vice Grip. Seeing it is a stronger move, and we want to keep Bubble because we want some kind of type effectiveness. We want Mud Shot to keep some kind of type effectiveness. And so we decide to get rid of Vice Grip, and we need Harden just to make sure we survive some tougher battles in the future. Also, during that battle, Lotad evolved into Lombre, so we have a higher evolved HM Slave. But this was my first really scare when playing through Emerald, was taking on this third gym leader, which is Watson, which is electric type focused. We used Mudshot, and that was my big focus for getting through a lot of this, was to really lean on Mudshot very hard, just because it will take out electric moving forward. Now, his Manectric is probably the most terrifying one. However, going back into fighting Watson, we take defeat after defeat after defeat. I thought only Manectric was going to be a problem for me. However, if I don't land quick enough mud shots against a lot of these trainers, or like a lot of his first Pokemon, I'm still going to lose regardless. So in this instance, we are going hand to hand and trying to survive Manectric's electric attacks. We miss another mud shot. It's really one of those things where we have to get lucky enough, and we're high enough level. We can't really do anything more just to survive Manectric's hits. And I get lucky with a critical mud shot that takes him out in one swipe. Really probably the only way I could have survived that kind of battle. Now, If you're looking at this, we are capturing a Skarmory, which I wanted to point out is one, after playing this game through, the appearance rate for Skarmory is already very low. And I realized, wait, we still need to get a Pokemon that can use Fly for another HM Slave. So he joins the team as HM Slave number 3. We go to Team Mammo. We have a really big first bite against Maxi. With this, again, something to note too with this battle, we have the Hyper Cutter ability with Cookie, which allows our attack not to go down anytime opponent has a ability that would bring a Pokemon's attack stat down, which helps us immensely since we focus very hard on that stat being our kind of lean for a lot of these different challenges. Along the way as well, we learned Dig, which is something I was unable to record at this time, which was replacing Mudshot and will be very important as we take on Flannery for the first time. With Dig, it is a physical stat, actually. So we get to lean not only on it being a typing effectiveness, but as well as a stat effectiveness for us moving forward. So Flannery really isn't a challenge for us, no matter how hot that sun becomes, no matter how much he cooks our crab, simply because our Dig is attack focused and type effective. And so we're hitting it with much more than a regular move set or us using Stomp, for example. So really, this is probably one of our more easier gym leaders we were up against at this time. And like that, we take off our another gym. I believe a gym number 4. And so next we get to play against our dad with normal typing. So with this one, we really can't really focus on any type effectiveness when it comes to this one. It's going to be really just us, one, withstanding the battle, and two, being able to take him out as quickly as possible and not let his Pokemon stall against us, or not trying to be confused as Cookie is doing right now. Thank you. Finally. Uh, Again, we have to account for them using their potions as well. So at this time, I'm using Harden just to survive, knowing that there is going to be big Pokemon and Spinda not really being a fear for us, taking a lot of hits. It's not there to really knock us out. So we see one of our HM slaves, Vigoroth. We use Dig just to try to flesh out what we can use stat-wise against it. At this time as well, I think it's a good time for us to heal up, knowing what is coming in the future. Cookie's not all caffeinated with some soda. So we decided to keep using Dig. And Dig was a great move as well, so we can kind of avoid getting hit just as much as well. We only get to take one hit when we come back from being underground. And luckily, a cool thing with Stomp too is that ability for Flinch. Now, Flinch is something that we can't rely on. Obviously, that happens pretty random, but it's something that comes in very handy for us when we're petrified here with Cookie almost falling to slacking pretty quick. Come on, we got it. Stomp, the loafing around, it's really playing in our favor. And with that, a critical hit and Dig, we knock out Slaking and we get our next gym badge. Sorry, Dad, I'm better than you. So at this time as well, I'm showing you another double battle that we were kind of brought into because we learned a very important move here called Crab Hammer. Now, remember, Crab Hammer is a physical type move. It's not a special stat like a lot of the water moves here in Emerald. So Crab Hammer is really going to be our one water move that we can focus on a lot of this time. Also, we get into Vigoroth, which is in the quick evolution of our HM Slave. So at this time as well, we keep fighting, showing you just all the different stats and moves, and we beat another Aqua admin along the way. So Krabby at this point really knows Stomp, Crab Hammer, Harden, and Dig, which is going to be our move set for a long time moving forward. But I wanted to show this moment real quick as we pick up a Mystic Water. Now, we won't use this Mystic Water now, but this is an important factor we'll use in the future, which increases our water type moves. Now we get to play our rival once again, just to say hello, just to show her that we're not terrified of any of her Pokemon and that us and Cookie are in a great place. Even though this Grovyle can scare me just a little bit because it's using special stats and a type effectiveness. But we just stomp them like we stopped that Executor with Ash and we keep on trucking. It's likewise with that Lombre. Bye, May. So with that, we take on our next gym battle, and that's going to be Bird Pokemon. Now, with this one, there isn't a type effectiveness really either for us on this one. Um, so we're really going to focus on just using our moves, trying to make the battle as quick as possible. Except that Tropius had a solar beam cooking, which would have been terrifying. You'll see later on that another Pokemon in our future battles will do that to us. So get out of confusion. That Pelipper cannot stall more against us, so we just try to stomp it out. But again, it keeps using that protect. Luckily, we are not really worried, and we can keep just attacking at it over and over. That old classic style of Pokemon playing. Skarmory makes pretty quick work. Now, this Altaria is her Pokemon, so it's going to take us maybe just a little bit longer. We really want that Dragon Dance to reach its full effect. That will really make our day a lot worse. But luckily, we're able to get past Winona and we move on to our next adventure. With that, we're expected with Maxie and going through this process again. We have to let him know that we're not afraid of his plans and that we have a crab to stop him. So Maxie's trying to survive as long as he can, but Cookie is still pulling through. That Crobat is pretty fast. It is faster than us. We are getting confused. Luckily, though, with us being a more amateur style play and we're just using our favorite Pokemon, we are allowing us to use items during a lot of these challenges for us. And so we snap out of our confusion and we try to stomp out his Crobat. However, his Super Potion is still coming through. We're not afraid. Now, this Camerupt, I've lost count of how many Camerupts we've taken down at this point, but that Crab Hammer is a dual type. It stands no chance against us. Now, with Tate and Liza, I wanted to show this quick dialogue before because I wanted to attempt to beat them by myself with just Cookie, but I was required to have a Pokemon with me like I do with all my double battles. Now, let's review the stats again. While you're seeing Lombre be a shield for a second, um, Krabby does not have a great special defense. These Pokemon rely very heavily on psychic moves, which are all, if not majority, special attack focused, which is going to play very poorly in our favor considering we are by ourselves, which is increasing our whiteout count once again. Now, after a lot more whiteout counts as well, I decide to try out the Mystic Water that I mentioned before. Now, with Mystic Water, it increases our water stat. Now, a lot of the Pokemon that we're playing against, even though they're psychic, they're also ground and slash rock type Pokemon. So we're going to rely a little more on being more of a type effectiveness battle rather than trying to take out them from a physical standpoint. So we're able to take out that Claydol, but Beeroth just is another shield. Lunatone takes a pretty hard hit, restoring health. It's one of those things where, unfortunately, both of them can attack us at once. And so we really have to play the luck game as well that one, we were able to survive one of their psychic hits, and two, they don't attack us at the same time with moves that can wipe us out, i.e., two psychic type moves. And also them not, reviving themselves throughout this journey. So this gym leader battle, I think, is probably going to be our most difficult one for us to focus on and for us to try to get through as just with Cookie. Again, 1v2, and the 1v2 are psychic types that make us very, very tough battle to even attempt to get through. So Crabhammer, we take out that Lunatone. Try to survive an Earthquake. Take out that Claydol. Come on. We stop it. Come on. Another Crab Hammer. Just gotta survive one more hit. Nope. She revives it. We push through with a Crab Hammer. We're right there. We survive that Psychic. Come on. Come on. All right, we heal up. All right, we're healing. A little bit of an Ancient Power. Didn't do much. The stats rose up, though. He does get to go first. And like that, we survive, even though the whiteout count is unfortunately higher than I'd like to admit now. But, however, we have to go and play the story. And so we go against Team Aqua with Archie once again while he's trying to wake up Kyogre. Even though we are of the same typing and we do both believe in water type Pokemon, we have to make sure that it doesn't flood all of the areas. So again, that Crobat, it is still faster than us. We do get flinched. However, we just have to survive long enough to get our hits off with him healing. So to make a quick move of that Crobat, and then this Sharpedo, which is unfortunate, but I don't think Sharpedo has that ability. I know Carvana did, where if you touch it, you lose health. Yep, that rough skin. So we defeat Archie. We watch Rayquaza take on Groudon and Kyogre. A little taking break. Tell them to quit it. Go back home. And we're back off to listening to Cookie. Now we take on the Gym 8, which is going to be a water type focus. So this one, so again, our Crab Hammer, even though it is a stronger attack move, really isn't going to be what we're leading on. We're going to be using our Stomp primarily to survive a lot of these battles. And as you can see, we are 27 levels higher. But as you can see that we weren't that much levels behind when we were taking on the twins for that psychic battle. So really it plays in our favor a fair amount with us being a high level, but at the same time, it won't do much if a Pokemon has this high special attack or if the type effectiveness is just too strong against us. Again, remember, Krabby is a basic Pokemon. It's not evolved. And it's unfortunate other slow stat is also its health. It's a little faster, but its health is also of a lower range compared to a lot of different Pokemon. It's a glass cannon, essentially. Now, with this Kingdra, as you can see, we are going back and forth, back and forth. Its double team is getting higher. It's making it harder and harder for me to hit. And it's also resting just as much to survive moving forward. We go back and forth. It keeps getting more evasive. I keep missing. It keeps going to sleep. It keeps resting. Now, with this is the only time I use this. I have used this in other challenges before. This is the only time we're using it in this challenge, where we're going to rely on a tale as old as time. And that is using the ability that's called Struggle. Now, with Struggle, it is a move that only comes online once you run out of all of the power points to use any of your other moves. Now, luckily, I do have a lot of healths to make me withstand getting hit. But essentially, I know I'm always going to keep missing and missing and missing. His evasiveness is way too high for any of my moves to hit at this point. And I'm also getting frozen. So at this point, we are just going to run out all of our PowerPoint moves in order to get Struggle. Now, Struggle is a move that we'll use where a Pokemon literally just throws itself at their opponent. And then from there, they also take a little bit damage as well. However, it takes a while because we have a lot of moves that we just haven't used yet. For example, this Crab Hammer, we're just pushing through it. Not too worried about health since we have health potions for us. Snap out of Confusion. Very cool. Still getting hit with that Water Pulse. Throw out our Dig. Got a little bit of a hit. Now, as you see, we have 30 Hardens. So we are going to see you after this intermission break. So we continue using Kingdra and using that Struggle for Krabby. As see, we have no moves left, and we are getting hit by that recoil. So the rest of this battle is really going to be us out-struggling Juan's Kingdra. So we'll be struggling back and forth, back and forth. And they use their potions as well. Now, Struggle is definitely a move we've relied on in the past just because it's something where eventually, since we are using items and potions for a lot of our run-through, we are able to withstand a little longer, but that means we will, not make it as far. But we're able to get that final 8th gym badge. So we meet Wally on Victory Road. This is the only Wally fight that I included in this one, simply because it's really the only time he's ever really a threat to us, and that's giving threat a really loose term at this point. So we take care of his Altaria pretty quick. That Magneton, gonna use Dig on it. Clear it out in one hit. Next is Rosalia. We want to dispatch of her as fast as possible using just Stomp. Now we have that Delcatty. Thankfully, that Sing missed, but a full restore was used. And we're just going to keep using Stomp, even though they keep using Restoring. Eventually, he'll run out, right? And lastly, that Gardevoir that we helped capture as a rat so long ago got flinched, and that's it for Wally, letting us reach a level 70. I also wanted to include this one because we have an interesting battle. This was the last battle we had on our way to Victory Road. I didn't realize, though, however, that these two Slackings were such a threat. But we start our first Elite Four battle. Now, for this first Elite Four challenger, their main primary typing is Dark Focused. So we really don't be using a type advantage, but we do have to be looking out, though, because of that Cacturn and that Shiftry that's on this team, as they're both Dark type Pokemon. Luckily, we're able to get past this Cacturn pretty fast, as well as with the Shiftry. The big thing is we just want to make sure we don't let one of... So we continue to battle, and then Shiftry does use a move called Torment. Torment is preventing us from using moves consistently back and forth. So that's going to make us a little more challenging as we go through, just because we can't continuously use Stomp. We're going to have to switch back and forth while also avoiding being confused. As you can see as well, Shiftry is using that double team to also make themselves more evasive. However, we're able to clear it pretty quick. Now it's our Crustacean versus Crustacean battle. And we're going to use Dig on this one as well, trying to make sure that we don't have to deal with Crawdon's attack Swords Dance as we get through. Luckily, one stop takes him out pretty quick. Now it's on to that Absol. Again, they're trying to use that Swords Dance to raise up their attack. So we want to make sure we clear them out as fast as possible. I continuously keep forgetting that we can't use moves one after another, but luckily our Stomp pulls through and we defeat Sydney. Next we fight is for our Ghost type with the second Elite Four member. This one's going to be a little more challenging, and the main reason being Stomp has been our primary move for a lot of our move set, or a lot of our competitors here throughout this playthrough. And unfortunately, we can't use that against, if not all, of her Pokemon. So for this one, we'll be focusing a lot more on using Dig as well as Crab Hammer. Now, Dig does have a better chance of accuracy, and remember, for our Crab Hammer, it only has, I believe, an 85% accuracy as well. So it's going to be a little more challenging to make sure those moves hit. Crab Hammer pulls through. I forget that Bennett also can learn electric moves, so that is a terrifying moment that we want to make sure that we clear as quickly as possible, and I know she has two of them as well. And there's the other one. Luckily, we have enough full restores to heal multiple teams of ourselves, so we use Dig. Continuously using it. Knocking out that other Bayonet. We don't have to worry about those Thunder Shocks anymore. Sableye, though, we have no more Dig, so we're going to have to revert to using only two left of Crab Hammer. Stomp has no effect on him. Decide to keep using that full restores and make sure our energy is high as possibly can. All it takes is one row critical hit, and it puts us in an awful position. Again, me thinking Stomp will work. Decide to use Crab Hammer. We knock it out. Now, with this one Pokemon left, we have no more of the power moves that we need to even combat a Dusclops, really. And so at this point, we decide to use one of our Ethers just to restore our moveset. So I'm going to go use Dig because of the reason, again, Dig allows us to kind of evade a lot of moves while at the same time trying to get these hits off. So decide to use a full restore, give ourselves a good chance of healing up. Ice Beam doesn't do too much unless, of course, we are frozen solid. We use Dig one more time. Decent hit. They restore a little bit with their Citrus Berry. We use Dig once more. Ice Beam following that. Restoring one more time just to make sure we have that health once again. And they also use a full restore. Again, they have their own items. It's only very fair that Cookie goes against a more fair battle, even though, again, we are 23 levels higher up than this Dusclops. No more power moves left for Dig. So we're going to use our old method again, using another ether to restore our power moves at this time. Oh, looks like I decided to use elixir actually instead and just restored all the moves. Seeing as we do have more on supply and we only have 2 more battles after this one. But we're able to defeat Phoebe and we get past our second Elite Four member. Now the next one, Glacia, we get to fight, and as you can see, it is an ice type focused one. So ice types aren't really going to do much to Cookie unless they are a special attack more. But at the same time, with a lot of the ice types, they are a hardier groups of Pokemon, as you can see from the Galil to the Sphews. Crunch is getting a little buzz, but we're able to use Stomp. Another Celio. We're going to want to restore our energy right now. One thing to be noted too is they do have a hail that's going on. This hail a lot of time won't do a lot of damage, but it's only really critical to say we get hit on a critical. We think we're going to survive just because we have a little bit of health left, and then a hail comes through and knocks us out completely. Continue to use Dig. Just trying to avoid as much moves as possible as we get through this. We finish it off with a Stomp. Another Galil. 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 We're going to restore. That was a bigger hit than I wanted to, so we're just going to restore one more time. Going to use another Stomp. And for this exact reason, right now, that hail puts us at 25 right as we start our next battle. And so it's important that we survive that, use our full restore, because we don't want to take that chance, especially with this move, Surf. As you see, it is a water type against us as being a water. But again, Walren's probably got a spot high special attack, or higher at least than Cookie, making that Surf a lot more damageable for us because our special defense just isn't that strong either. So even though it is our same typing, that move is just a strong move in general, which gives us a lot of problems. Right back to the beginning for both of us using the Surf. So I'm going to use Dig just to get away, taking a little bit of a risk here. Surviving. Hopefully this next Dig will do us a favor, because one more Surf will put us in a bad place. Okay. We use Stomp, and just like that, number 3 is in the bag, getting level 75. But we have to face, of course, our Dragon Trainer, Drake. And so we start off against his Shelgon. At the same time, though, we also learn the move Ice Beam. Now, the reason why we brought Ice Beam onto this one is simply because dragon types are very sturdy, hardy type, and Ice being one of the Ice and Fairy being one, and Dragon, of course, being one of the 3 types that can really take them out. Ice Beam's the only move in Cookie's repertoire that will allow us to have some kind of type advantage against them, unless there's already an existing type advantage. So we decided to keep using and go up against another Kingdra. Hopefully this one doesn't put us to the struggle again. And we're able to clear that one out pretty quick. Now against this Flygon, I'm not too worried. It's a flying and I believe a ground type as well. So Ice Beam should do pretty well against it. Yep, just one hit and that's all it took. Now last but not least is Salamence. His Intimidate doesn't work on us, which is great. Get a full restore in. Crunches a little damage. Man, Dragon Claw. And we're back at it again, trying to see if we can get past this Salamence once again. So he does use that crunch. We use a full restore, just trying to keep as much health as possible. Dragon Claw pretty much is going to wipe us out almost every time. However, we try going at it again, barely surviving that first Dragon Claw. Once again, we decided to, before we tried taking that risk, we use that full restore to give us our health back. Luckily, they use a Rock Slide, and we finish him off with an Ice Beam, pushing us into our champion battle, straight to it, with Militech, and this is being more of a water-focused champion for this one, as similar to our Gym 8 badge. And so with this one, we're trying to survive back and forth. Militech's a tough one because it has that recover factor, and we don't really have any type effective moves for a lot of these different kind of battles. So we're really going to really heavily focus on using stomp and other moves. Fortunately, we couldn't make it through, so that white account went again, and then again, and we didn't even get past this Ludicolo this time. At this point, though, I decided to learn the move Strength. So with Strength, it's giving us an opportunity to have a stronger move, which I don't know why we didn't teach Krabby, and you can roast me in the comments for this one sooner than later, with Strength being much stronger than Stomp this entire time. I think I was just more worried on not having a permanent move on his moveset in case we need to move one around. So we're going up against her Gyarados, luckily surviving that Hyper Beam. And luckily it has to recharge, letting us use that strength to wipe it out, giving us the champion battle and pushing us into the very end. So Krabby was able to pull through with only 36 whiteouts. And I say only, that's still not my record highest whiteouts I've done for any of my challenges, luckily. And so at this point, we're able to say that me and as Professor Krabby, with our Krabby cookie, we were able to defeat Pokemon Emerald. So thank you for watching. We appreciate it. If you have any recommendations on which games we should do next with Krabby, I know we've defeated Leaf Green and we've now done Emerald. So maybe we'll do Heart Gold. Maybe we'll do Diamond. We'll figure a way to do that one as well. But we appreciate it. And thank you again for watching. All right. Catch you later.